Is there a particular character that proved most challenging to get into the shoes of?
I think all of them are pretty good and challenging to a good degree. I will say that the transition of my career from random Best Buy girl and kind of a grittier theater scene of Minneapolis, not necessarily, it wasn't the Guthrie. I didn't work at the Guthrie until after I went out to OSF. I worked there, but through a different theater, like another theater's produced, their production was produced in the Dowling Theater of the Guthrie, but it was not a Guthrie production. Going from doing that, but a lot of it contemporary, a lot of it, like I said, a little grittier. The first time though of doing Shakespeare and developing a character within the world of Shakespeare, I would say was harder because of my preconceived idea of how that's supposed to sound or how it's supposed to look or who it's supposed to be, which was never anything that I had. You heard my journey was I was at an acting school for about a year. Then I was in Minneapolis working by doing. So whenever I would see a Shakespeare play or hear actors that I knew that did Shakespeare, it always sounded like something that, like, if you didn't already know everything about the poetry and the scanning and the history and the this and the that and the other, then like you can't even begin to be a part of it. So like it was never anything that I thought I would be doing. So I was fortunate that the first theater that I did professionally was through a company. The first Shakespeare was through a company called 10,000 Things Theater in Minneapolis. And they do productions, taking them to communities that don't have the access to come to. And that primarily is prisons, it's homeless shelters, it is detention centers, it's homes for battered women. And you would do it in a room with the lights up, like seats all in the round, kind of costumes and set were minimal. And it was real in your face and present. And so that was the first production of Shakespeare that I was in. It was a production of Othello. And I played a character named Amelia. And so all of that pretense and all of that kind of like stuffy museum, old European ideal of what it was out the window from jump. So though at the beginning it was getting the words in my mouth and making it feel real, I feel was harder than the understanding of the world of that character. But that's what brought me back. Understanding that, I'm building another character who has a real truth of like her life as a woman and her husband and circumstances and her things she cares about and the things that detest her. And these happen to be the words that they use, in doing that. So learning that, I've tried to remember that every time I've come to Shakespeare, everything, really Shakespeare can be the thing that's like a stopper from jump because it just seems so like, But doing that, so Othello, right, is about this Black man who is like the greatest guy, and he's a soldier, and he's just married the love of his life, and he's got this promotion, and then somebody starts lying in his ears.
Josh Hartnett.
Josh, you've come up twice. So that starts, turning things in his mind. And because he's not quite at a space to know himself and to trust his woman and to know his place, and because all this hate and jealousy is playing on him, it alters his life and the life of the people around him, and he makes horrible decisions in the end. And we're doing this in a prison, So the people that would understand on a level deeper than your Oxford textbooks can tell you, they're getting this world. And that had always been, for me, the thing that I'm reminded, that I remind myself of why I continue to do Shakespeare. because there's value and like the depth of character, the language is beautiful. Yes, all that stuff, but like this real human stuff that's happening through there, and it's value, and I have experienced it really being taken in on a deeper level by folks that had never had the opportunity, to sit through graduate class or, see 17 productions of Romeo and Juliet, like taking it in as it is. And when you have artists that are about embodying it and telling a truthful story, as opposed to showing off how well they can speak verse or how good they look in costumes, really makes all the difference for me. So yeah, jumping into Shakespeare at first was the hardest. But now every time I've done it, it's become a little bit easier, and I get to work with more and more people that have, done Oxford and whatever, their MFAs and whatnot, and I've gotten to glean from them. But it's always about bringing my truth as opposed to trying to do something that they expect or what you think it's supposed to be.